How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video. So in today's video I'm gonna do a coolant flush because I just found out that I have prestone inside my engine. When I bought this car last year, I didn't know that the dealer put prestone coolant inside my engine. So as far as I know, BMW recommends only to put the BMW coolant inside the engine to prevent corrosion. So in today's video I'm gonna do a coolant flush, drain and fill and bleed to replace that green prestone with the blue BMW coolant. So this is the coolant tank of the BMW, and here's what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna take some sample so you can see the real color of the coolant. Okay. It's green. It's supposed to be blue. So this is not the proper coolant. So I'm gonna do a coolant flush today. So I'll show you the easiest way to do a coolant flush without taking out the under tray of the car. So this is what we're gonna be needing today. I still have a new jug of BMW antifreeze coolant, and maybe I have half a gallon there. Same thing with this. You need to use distilled water. You don't want to use regular water because we don't want any other mineral inside that engine. So I got a full gallon here of distilled water and another half a gallon. So we're gonna do a coolant flush just to make sure the engine has a proper coolant inside. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drain the there's an auxiliary radiator here with some coolant connection. So we're gonna pop up the hose on that coolant there to drain all the fluids. To access that, you have to take out the wheel, take out the fender liner so we can access the radiator there with a coolant pipe or a coolant hose. So once we pop those out, the water will drain on the pan, and then we're gonna close it. We're gonna fill it up with the distilled water to recirculate and take out the rest of the coolant, take out the rest of the green coolant, and then drain that again. Then we're gonna put the real BMW coolant with distilled water mix, 50-50%. So 50% coolant, 50% distilled water. And then we're gonna bleed the system to make sure there's no air inside. So I'm gonna show you the bleeding procedure after. So I have to take out a bunch of 8mm screws here. So I took about 10 8mm screws. So that is the coolant hose that you have to disconnect so you can drain the coolant. So I'm gonna open up this tank so we can release more coolant on the system. There you go. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna plug it back in. So here I have the distilled water. I'm gonna close it, and then we're gonna do the bleeding procedure. So to bleed the system, we have to put it in accessory mode. So we have to press the start button without stepping on the brake. put the heater all the way to high and put the fan all the way low. You have to put your headlights on the low beam and step on the gas for like 10 seconds. So after filling up the coolant tank with distilled water and then bleeding the system just to make sure we can get all that green stuff out of that passages inside the engine. So now we're gonna do the second drain. Hopefully get everything out. Okay. Still green. That means we need to do another flush later on. But for now I'm gonna completely drain this. So it finally stopped dripping. I'm gonna connect it again. I'm gonna fill it up with distilled water again. So I'm gonna pour in another 4 liters of distilled water. So this is the 7th drain. We're gonna check if it's still yellow. The last one on the 6th, it's a bit clear. Now it's time to do the 50-50 mixture of coolant. So this is the distilled water. That's 50% distilled water. Now we're gonna add up the 50% coolant, BMW coolant. So now it's time to put back the hose so you can fill up the radiator with the BMW coolant. Now it's time to put the coolant. So I put about a gallon of the BMW coolant with the mix of 50-50 distilled water. Now we're gonna bleed the system to take out all the air pockets in the lines, in the coolant lines. So after the first bleed, I'm gonna check how much coolant we need to add. So I pre-mix a little bit more coolant. I'm gonna add more. Just have to add up just by the seam. Now I'm gonna bleed the system again. As you can see, now the coolant level is perfect. So that's the level right now after the second bleed. So when you're trying to top up your coolant level, so if you want to top up your coolant, just make sure that there's a line here on the max. So when you're gonna top up your coolant, just make sure it's below the seam, right by the max level here. There's a line here on the side that you have to feel it. Now I feel better that the coolant is blue instead of a green, so I feel confident about that right now, instead of running the green coolant before. Well, it took about 7 times that I have to drain, flush, and bleed before I can completely get the clear water. So this is the first one, second one, third one, fourth one, fifth, sixth, and seventh. So as you can see on the stages, they're slowly getting clearer until I get to the seventh bottle, which is the seventh coolant flush and bleed. So now the green is finally completely gone, so I'm pretty happy about that. I'm pretty confident that now I'm running with the blue coolant, so gives me a peace of mind that I don't have that prestone inside my engine. Anyway guys, that's how you do a coolant flush in your BMW. Please give this video a like. Also, don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel. It only takes about a minute of your time to subscribe and it's free. So please do subscribe. Let's help this channel grow. Thank you for watching and I will see you on the next one.